Hey guys, hope you're going well and wishing all my Aussie peeps out there a very happy Australia Day, or Australia Day as it's been so lovingly abbreviated to. Today is a huge national holiday in Australia because we recognise the formal establishment of a British colony here in New South Wales in the year 1788. More importantly, it is a public holiday and I do not have to go to work. No work, no work. And for most people I know, the best way to spend your Australia Day public holiday is with the 3 Bs, that is barbecues, beers and backyard cricket. As a fun fact, if you haven't brushed up on your Australian history, yes, Australia was established as a penal colony, so many Australians are descended from convict ancestry. Yes, myself included, Scottish convict heritage right here. And because I'm feeling all kinds of national pride today, I thought what better time than now to share with you some of the very best in Australian classic movies. I have chosen 5 today, focusing on slightly different genres in the time periods between the 1970s up until the late 1990s. Number 5 from 1971 is the little known thriller film Wake in Fright. This is probably the most underappreciated and more obscure film from all the movies I'm mentioning today. Directed actually by a Canadian director, Ted Kotcheff, the movie premiered in 1971 at the Cannes Film Festival. The story follows a well-spoken and more affluent Sydney school teacher who is posted to a school out in the middle of the remote desert of nowhere, where he meets the locals who to him are as foreign as they come. He tries to fit in with their excessive drinking, their gambling and their hunting. There is this infamous kangaroo hunting scene which is like burned into my skull forevermore, where it's night hunting and it's real. So the filmmakers went out for real, out into the desert with the real locals, and they killed real kangaroos, and the bloodlust is just horrifying. There's a disclaimer at the beginning of the movie because it is real slaughter. I feel like nowadays you just straight up, you would not be able to do that. This movie was digitally restored and remastered in 2009 and actually screened for a second time at the Cannes Film Festival, and it's only one of 2 movies to have ever been screened for a second time at that festival, which is quite elite. Number 4 from 1979, it's the original Mad Max. No surprises there, I'm sure, with mentioning this movie here on this list of classic Australian movies. Surely you've heard of the reboot Mad Max Fury Road, which was released just last year by George Miller, the same director who directed the original Mad Max movie back in 1979. Think about how crazy that is for him, rebooting his own franchise. Back to the original movie though, it starred Mel Gibson, the adopted Aussie. He was actually born in the US, but he moved to Australia quite early on, and ever since we have claimed him as an Australian actor. Max is a highway patrol cop out for vengeance following this really violent motorcycle gang. It is a classic action road movie with a simple plot, just done really well. Number 3 from 1981, it's Roadgames, starring Stacey Keach and also Jamie Lee Curtis. This movie has been called the Rear Window of the Australian road because it has such very distinct tones or themes to what you might find in any Alfred Hitchcock movie, or specifically Rear Window, which is probably why I like this movie so much. It's very much a cat and mouse type of internal or psychological thriller following a truck driver who is driving a truckload of meat out to Perth, where he hears on the radio about a serial killer on the loose. Then he picks up a hitchhiker played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and the two of them just have this really strange yet really great chemistry together. It is very, very smart and well done, and it really showcases the arid Australian outback in a very spectacular but also extremely ominous way. Number 2, it's The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. This has to be one of my all-time favorite Australian movies. I just love this movie so much. Written and directed by Stephen Elliott and starring 2 Australian masters, Hugo Weaving and Guy Pearce, legends. Funny thought, it just occurred to me that this movie, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, can also be classified as a road movie. That would make 3 out of the 5 movies I'm sharing today all classifiable as road movies, which is just kind of a coincidence, but also just shows how important the road features in Australian culture, and especially in this time period, because everything in Australia was so far away. The story follows a musical performance trio who specialize in drag shows, and they booked a show up in Alice Springs, so they rent a big old bus and drive from Sydney up to Alice Springs, and along the way, of course, the bus decides to break down. Just picture them all high heels, glitter, and thick cakey makeup in this sweltering hot desert. They are fish out of water. This movie is just so funny. It's got so much comedy to it, but it also deals with a lot of very sort of serious natured issues. It is a great movie. Number 1 on this list, it's The Castle from 1997, and this has to be the most quintessential Australian movie probably ever made. Directed by Rob Stitch and starring Michael Caton, Stephen Curry, and a very young Eric Bana, this is an underdog story about a good old working class family who are being forced to vacate their home to make way to a big and ugly corporate industrial development. It captures this true blue Aussie spirit in the most endearing and heartwarming way. It's un-PC at times and politically incorrect, but it's just really, I don't know, it's got courage and it's got heart, and it is just brilliant. If I was only allowed to recommend one Australian movie to someone from overseas that sort of encapsulates Australia in a nutshell, it would be The Castle. Cool guys, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. If you have seen any Aussie movies that you'd like to recommend, you can leave them in the comments section down below and share the Aussie spirit today. You can subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and keep up to date with my other movie and TV reviews, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.